Welcome to Upper Room Studios. This is the Road Home Podcast.
We back.
At it again.
At it again. Once again. To the rescue. So if you keep up with archaeological finds and biblical proofs, like we've tried to, every once in a while, it's kind of a thing to nerd out on, especially if you love the Word of God. Recently, the famous Shroud of Turin has been examined by a group of people who have rendered a AI picture. And it's pretty neat how that artificial intelligence has it's taken from what appears on the Shroud of Turin, and they cause it to be a thing. What is neat about the Shroud of Turin is that they said that if you don't know what it is, it's a cloth, supposedly the cloth, allegedly, there's not 100% proof about it. It's pretty close, though. It's pretty close. Mm-hmm. If you research it and you look into some of the things. The shroud is the burial cloth that supposedly was wrapped around the body of Jesus while he was in the tomb. The cool thing about it is, though, on the inside of the cloth, which would have been the part that was touching his actual face, left an imprint. Almost, scientists say it had to have been like radiation put it in there. Like it printed the image onto this piece of cloth from some sort of radiation that would have had to been like crazy amount of radiation. Well, my personal opinion is that is the glory of God did that at the moment of resurrection. And Jed has a picture of the shroud. Let's see what this thing looks like.
My cursor go.
The thing about me is I like watching documentaries and things like that. I like watching that stuff that most people find boring. But you do learn things, kind of watching these things. And you read about, what's that, $192 for the Shroud of Turin?
That's
Sweet.
a good deal.
That's not a bad deal.
Sweet.
So, based upon their renderings, or the shroud, I don't know if they scanned it or if they went through the thing. Let's see what that one looks like. Have you ever seen this, Billy?
No, I have not.
So, it's pretty interesting, and it's been taken care of by different people throughout the centuries. Mm-hmm. Now, there is one section of it that has been replaced or whatever, but they think it was done by a group of nuns in whatever century. And that's the only new part of the shroud. But you can see there's an imprint. That's the way it looks.
So that's the shroud?
That's the shroud. Now, that's been contrasted. It's been contrasted, so that's it at a contrast. But it clearly shows arms crossed, a face, undoubtedly a face, a nose, eyes. I mean, it's all there, and folds.
Oops.
That's what the shroud looks like, and how they get that image is when they hit it with a contrast lighting, like you would a photo. We don't have that nowadays because people don't know about developing film.
What's a photo?
What's a photo? Yeah, people know what photos are, but they don't know what like the negatives.
Right.
We used to have the negatives. Well, that's the negative of the picture of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so what they do is
we used to have hundreds of those negatives laying all over the house, and you go get the cameras developed.
Yeah.
Always hold it up to see what picture it was.
Yeah. Then you would get the little tube, and it would be whatever. You didn't know what was in it until you got it. That was fun waiting on those pictures, but So that's what it looks like. You can't tell without the contrast, and that's only been the recent history they've been able to do that.
Right.
It's only been like legend and everything, and they could barely see it. Well, when they hit it with contrast, that was the previous image. That's what you get, and you see there's something to develop there. So what they've done now is they produced, because of artificial intelligence, and you know how freaky it is, they've made an image come to life. Not in a very creepy way, just sort of to make it more realistic.
So this article here, I believe, is from New York Times.
And check this out. New X-ray analysis seems to prove that the Shroud of Turin was indeed from Jesus Christ's time, allowing artificial intelligence to recreate stunning images of what many believe could be Christ himself. Christians have long believed that the treasured relic was the burial cloth of Jesus, showing an imprint of the Messiah's face. And that is pretty wild. Check that out.
So that's supposed to be what Jesus looked like.
And it's not this weird, feminine-looking...
No, he looks very manly.
It's a masculine character. And it's kind of cool. Now, obviously, this is not 100% sure.
Just speculation.
This is a major speculation, but because of technology we have, this is pretty interesting.
It would be it's a lot better example than the paintings that
Exactly.
Right.
people have created.
Yeah. It's something to think about. It makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, let me go to the Word of God, and let's see what maybe we can pull out of this whole thing. So according to Colossians chapter 1 and verse 12, we'll start from verse 12 and I'll read down. It says, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who hath delivered us from the power of darkness and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, which is the kingdom of light, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. Now we're using the word image in this modern day rendering.
Yeah.
It's an AI generated image. Okay. Jesus himself is a heavenly generated image
Yeah.
of an invisible God. So, in the same way that Shroud took on his image, now we are to take on his
the
image.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily seen in our life until we come in contrast with the darkness of this world. And then, we do see the image of Christ on us. Mm-hmm. And so we are waiting. We're to conform to his image, the word says. We're to conform to the image of God's Son, because our image is corruptible, it's sinful, it's fallen. But here, his image, it brings us close to him. It shows us who he is. This is not the image it's speaking of. This is only a relic. It's proof. It's another thing. It's just another thing saying, this story is true. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing is, there's no bones in his tomb. This burial cloth was not left on his body.
Right.
The third day, he did come walking out of the tomb. He did resurrect. And it's something to think. It makes you really think, because this whole talking about light versus darkness, the only way that this image was printed onto this cloth was radiation, which comes from a heat source or a light source. Mm-hmm. Well, he's the light of the world. He's the true light that lighteth the way of every man. Mm-hmm. In him is life, and that life is the light of men. Okay, that's just, it blows my mind that science and spiritual truths are kind of meshing here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If there's, might project something.
See it in thinking about this cloth. Like, you could say, well, that they just found a random cloth, but you would think about, in these days, how many relics are kept of famous people to put in museums and to observe and, whatnot. So I would say, as prominent of a figure as he was in those days, that it wouldn't just been thrown away, or I'd say it was took and kept and, Who knows? They could have made a museum of it. You know, in those days, you don't know.
Yeah.
But whether good or bad, because they keep, you know what I'm saying? So if it was like the Romans, you know, they would keep it of, you know, even though they was against him, they would still have kept it for, or whoever had got a hold of it. But I'm just saying.
It was the Catholic Church that had it for a while, ain't it?
The Catholic Church has been pretty good at hunting down supposed relics.
Yeah.
And weren't they Roman Catholics?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Is that where it started?
That's where it all started, was Constantine. So, I mean, like, you've got there is a way of tracking his history, and I think that's what's part of that's all about. Because the Catholic Church, of course, there's been disproven on some of these, like, pieces of the cross, the supposed spear of destiny that if you go into history, you learn that Hitler and many other great figures of our time. There's another rabbit hole. You want to speak down there?
I didn't mean to send you down a rabbit hole.
That's a cool story because, the spear that
punctured Jesus'
side by the Roman soldier, the legend was that whoever owned the spear ruled the world. So during and before World War II, Hitler plunders the Holy Land looking for the spear. He gets it. He takes it. And the story is that when he touches it, he says he feels like he touched it before, only he was in a different body, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing.
Sounds like an Indiana Jones movie.
That actually was the inspiration for the Indiana Jones movies.
I was.
So that's pretty cool.
I was taken back to when the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
When
that was an inspiration for that movie.
Because they was Russian, weren't they? They was Russian.
They
were Russian, right?
They was German.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, it's pretty close.
Come on, Billy. Know your movie.
I don't know.
German movie trivia.
Why did I think that Hitler was Russian? I don't know.
It happens. Actually, it was Austrian, but that's a whole rabbit hole. I think we're getting off it.
Yeah.
The thing is,
so a picture of Jesus.
This is just pretty cool that this even exists.
I do know that Hitler wasn't Russian. Okay.
He does know that now.
It was Mussolini, wasn't it?
Mussolini was Italian.
Oh my God. Okay,
All
Billy
right.
didn't pay attention in school.
So
who was Russian?
Putin.
Stalin.
Stalin. There you go.
And he was one of our allies at the time.
Okay.
But anyway,
It was one of them.
also a bad guy. But anyway, both killers.
Back to the subject.
Jesus' image on this cloth.
Yeah.
Now imagine trying to protect this. Speaking of a Raiders of the Lost Ark type thing, imagine trying to protect it if it has some sort of notoriety. I did, in a documentary I watched, there was a house that for a long time, a family felt that they were the family to take care of this shroud. Like they were the guardians of the shroud. It's kind of legend, but they were the ones to take care of the shroud. Well,
were they Russian?
I don't think they were Russian. I think this actually ended up being like somewhere in France or somewhere, like way into the middle ages or whatever, dark ages, where you call it, when there were a lot of things being tossed around, and the Catholic Church was doing probably their bloodiest era was during that time, smashing out little rebellions here and there. But they protected this shroud, and it's stayed protected this entire time, So what scientists have done is they've taken the shroud and they figured out from the folds in it where the body would be. So they actually kind of have I don't know if it's a plastic or a 3D printed version
Rendering
of the
almost.
body.
Yeah.
That's laid out on a tomb tile type thing that they have that kind of shows you how it would look. Yet again, it's all speculation.
Yeah.
It's kind of reverse engineering, but
It's all neat stuff.
it's cool.
I mean,
It's cool. I don't know that it has any spiritual significance, but it's cool. The only thing we do know is that
if you're
if you're interested,
a little bit nerdy and like that kind of stuff, it's cool. But
yeah, I think it's real. Like I'm fully convinced that shroud is real. I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I'm talking
it's not,
the plaster of Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know
all
about
that.
that.
I mean, it's just neat stuff.
it's pretty cool. It's the fact that people are actually doing those sort of things.
Yeah.
Is interesting. But this also brings
when Jesus, he was in the tomb and he went down to the heart of the earth. Now, little nerdy side of me, I guess, that would
Okay.
be like being transported or you teleport.
Right.
There had to have been a flash of some sort from that dimension to this dimension when he was transported.
That light,
Right.
the radiation that came
Yeah.
from that. Like, I just expected there was some kind of thing like that. You know, when the tomb, when the stone was rolled away, there was a earthquake.
Yeah.
So the guards were tossed to the side, and
Yeah.
we don't know, but that's pretty cool.
I watched Adventures in Odyssey one time, cartoon on it, and it was just showed like almost an explosion coming out of the tomb,
Yeah.
and the guards went flying, but that was just a cartoon.
So let me take you. Let's take.
I don't
this.
think it was an actual video of when it happened, but
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me take you to a take this down a dark road, and let's talk about the implications this has with the Antichrist. So there is a prophecy in the book of Revelation that speaks of an image. Okay, if I can find it. My eyes are slow. But according to the scriptures, there is an image that will be created, and it will have life, okay? It will be given life. Now, no other time have we been able to say we could give life to an image.
yeah.
But now, because of the technological advances that we have, we're able to
Revelation 13, maybe?
yeah, I'm hearing 13.
13 and 15.
Let's try that. There we go. Okay, so 13 and verse 11 says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb. There's a lot of symbolism here. And he spake as a dragon. He exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And it's sort of a false resurrection that the Antichrist will put on to deceive the people. He doeth great wonders, so he maketh fire come down from heaven and on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. And if you haven't studied the beast is not an actual animal. It's a system of government that will be implemented by the Antichrist. And that's we don't go into prophecy on all that. It said, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And then that's where we get the mark of the beast, which everybody doesn't study and they just scared of. So they just automatically fear everything's the mark of the beast, but they never studied to know.
I wonder.
That's interesting.
I wonder if that'll be a physical sword or the sword of the spirit. His
Who
word.
knows? Who knows? We don't know.
If words will hurt people, if the words will hurt this
Or
beast.
if that can be taken as a literal sword or a sort of figurative sword, like as the sword of the spirit is a word, is this a spiritual sword?
Spiritual
Right.
weapons.
Yeah.
Is this an ungodly type of a mimicry of the kingdom? So we've never had this that could ever be done, that you could take an image of something and maybe give life to it.
Right.
This image right here, saw something there yesterday. This image right here, they have a program now. You could make this move and talk.
Yeah.
You could make that image move and talk and say whatever you wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, they've been using that. Like Tom Hanks came out and said that this is not me, because it's on like YouTube. I've seen on like commercials and stuff where they have the people's voices sounds just like them saying something about government subsidies or something like that. But anyways, tricking people into thinking that this is endorsed by celebrities.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks came out just the other day and said this is not me, so don't be believing
Wow.
it.
They call it deep fake, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Not cheap fakes, but yeah, that's a different story. Not deep fakes. So what is not to be alarmed about, but we should be wise and pray and have discernment, is that we shouldn't believe everything that comes along. Say even this, that looks like a real picture taken in maybe 200 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like, yeah, which we would say, okay, the good part is, the positive part is, this is really cool. The negative part is, oh my goodness, they
Right.
have this technology. What else can they deceive us with?
Right. Which way do you want to look at it?
Yeah. I for right now, I want to look at it positively. But I do want, in the back of my mind, I want to say, okay, Revelation 13 exists.
Just file this picture there and think, we'll just remember that when we come back to it.
Exactly. Could this even be that sort of thing that they're trying to get implemented?
Right.
Because what will happen, according to the scripture, they will take the temple, the third temple that has not been built yet, but is being talked about being built. We already have the red heifer sacrifice that could have already taken place. We don't really know. Another story for another day. But this could be the very image that, I don't know. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying it could be, if they give this sort of hologram, anything. If people can believe certain things, like, people are gullible. We don't want to be gullible. We don't want to be sheeple.
Right.
We want to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Take everything with a whole bucket full of salt, and then just kind of wait and pray and wait for the end of a matter before we say, okay, this is evil. I'm like, okay, this is cool. But also, I have wisdom to know this could be used for evil, a lot of evil.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can, in this day and time, I don't know that you can discount the evil that could be done with something. So you have to always give that a voice in your head to say, okay, there's a possibility here. This could be used for the wrong purposes. But it is cool. And Jesus still is, regardless if this is real or not, Jesus still is the image of the invisible God.
Yeah.
And he is the head of the body of the church. He is Lord of all, King of all, Alpha and Omega, beginning and ending. He's still the one I bow my knee to, the only one. And he is coming back again in like manner as he went away. And he's coming in clouds of glory. So, y'all got something to add?
I just got to go study history.
Yeah, Russian history.
Just go watch
evidently.
Indiana Jones.
Just go watch Indiana
I thought
Jones.
you watched all of them a couple weeks ago.
I did. So I knew that Hitler was from Germany. Now, Mussolini and all that, I don't know.
He wasn't sure about that. I assume you did know.
Yeah,
We all
I'm-
have our bad days.
I am half German, so I should know that.
Would
or
it
at
will
least.
sell out your own people?
One thing I never thought of is Jesus having a part on his head. Never thought about
Did
that.
Jesus have a comb?
Yeah.
Did he use what kind of a hair product? Did he use Crew? I mean, I don't know. We'll have to ask him one
Aussie.
day. Laura, did you use Crew? Like, is that a worthy
His women
prayer? I'm not
disciples
sure.
probably used Aussie.
Who, John?
Yeah. Huh?
No, it's
John?
women.
Women.
The
Female.
women disciples. I thought you were talking about
Like-
the George Santos guy or whatever his name is that does he plays John on The Chosen. He's an Australian guy.
It kind of looks like King Arthur a little bit.
And with that being said, I'll see you further down the road.
Oh, Lord. Thanks for tuning in. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like to watch us, you can find us on The Road Home on YouTube. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can check us out on Instagram at the roadhome_podcast. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at the roadhomepodcast@yahoo.com. Thank you.